Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. This is the fourth and final project in my Easter Friends series in April 2022. I wanted to use some retiring products. This is the box we'll be making. This is retiring, the Strawberry Builder Punch and the Playing with Patterns resin dots. I don't think the Easter Friends stamp set has made it into the new catalogue for 2022 to 2023. So I'm making the most of this bunny because I love that bunny. This is a really easy box to make. It's a pinch box. I wanted to show you how you can stamp the back of the bunny without all the details in the front. This is actually the same profile of the bunny, but without all the insides. So here's the cardstock you'll need. The box space is 11 inches by 7¼ inches. In metric, that will be 18.5 by 28 centimetres long. On the long side, you score at 1/2 inch, 3¾ inches, 5¾ inches and 9 inches. In metric, that will be 1 centimetre, 9.5, 14.5 and 23 centimetres. Rotate your cardstock a 1/4 turn so that the 1/2 inch score line is at the top, and you score at 2 inches down on one side, so that will be 5 centimetres. Stitch rectangle dies, and counting from the smallest outwards to the largest, you need the 5th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need this one here. Die cut 2 pieces of basic white, which I've done here from this stitch rectangle. We also need the tailor-made dies, and we'll need the 2nd one and the smallest to die cut the tags. Blushing Bride and Just Jade scraps of cardstock to punch out the flowers. Blushing Bride and Soft Sea Foam ink for blending with, for the background to the bunny, and basic grey ink to stamp the bunny with. You also need the Stamparatus in order to stamp the back of the bunny so that it doesn't have all these features on it, and that's why I've stamped the bunny on a post-it note, and I'll show you what to do with it just in a minute. So first I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus and ink in the bunny and do his front first. Then to do his back, I place my cardstock where I want it to be, and I took a piece of acetate sheet and stuck that on, then inked up the bunny and stamped it on the acetate sheet. Then I stamped it on a piece of post-it note and then cut out the outline inside the image so that there wouldn't be a gap when you stamp again, and I adhered this on the back of the acetate sheet. I actually put Tombow glue on the front of the post-it note where the bunny had been stamped, put it back on the acetate sheet and stuck it down like so. Make sure that stays. Then I can ink the bunny back up again. I can put the magnet back now and stamp. So you see the ink will now go on the outline of the rabbit rather than on the inside. So I've masked the inside basically, and now I only want the outline of the rabbit. Carefully remove the mask, and hey presto, there's your outline. So don't discard that because you can use it again. So what I do is I just pop it in my box. And I stamped a second bunny rabbit, and that's to mask the front of the rabbit and this as well, so that I can blend the background without making the bunny pink and green. You need two, because one is for masking when you're actually blending the background, and the other bunny has got glue on both the front and the back so that it will adhere to the back of the acetate sheet as well as on the project. So now I'm going to use this basic grey, and I'll use the journaling end to mimic the outline there. So I'm just going to scribble his ears on. I'll just copy what I've done there. Now we can do our blending. So I'm going to take my soft sea foam and just blend the bottom. You work in a circular motion like that until you get the right consistency of colour, and do the same for this. Switch to Blushing Bride and then do the rest. So work off the paper, then onto the paper, so you don't get uneven splotches of colour. Remove the mask from the bunny. You see the ink hasn't gone onto the bunny, and then reposition it on the second bunny that has its back turned. And we'll add the pink background to it as well. Bring back the box base that we scored earlier and just reinforce the score lines. Have the 1/2 inch score line to your right. So you want to cut that small rectangle away and mitre the corner of the flap, and then cut straight up to that first score line on either side of the score line. Fold these up and then you can snip away. Your flap, 1/2 inch flap, is now on the left. So this will be the front of the box, and this is the piece that you want to glue on last, okay? So if that's the front, then you want your bunny there. So get some glue. And make sure there's an even border on the 3 sides here, the bottom and the 2 sides. That's the back of the bunny. I'm going to cut a tiny sliver there, so tiny that it's almost straight, and put adhesive on that. Fold it over and press that down. So now you want to glue the box base. So this is the flap. You have your bunny upside down and the front of the bunny facing you. Put that flap down because you know that's the one going last. Pop those down. Put a bit of adhesive on there, a bit of adhesive on here. And then lastly, a bit of adhesive on the bottom. Pop it this way round and stick your bone folder in and make sure that it's down bonded properly. Now you need to punch a hole through these layers. So you pinch the box here at the top and make sure that the sides and the top of the box is flush with each other. And you want to pinch all these layers. The crocodile will punch through this like butter, but if you haven't got a crocodile, then you need a handheld punch or something. Then you might need to punch the layers one at a time. An ordinary punch won't be able to punch through 4 layers of cardstock. So either you position the punch so it's only going through 2 layers of cardstock, but if you want a wider bit for the ribbon to go through, then if you've got a crocodile, then use the crocodile. Bring back my scrap of basic white cardstock and stamp Happy Easter. This tab die is too small for the long sentiment, so what I'm going to do is only partially cut. Get a pencil and I'm going to draw a line so that I have a reference to position my die. So I'm only going to partially cut. I'll move this up a bit, I think, and I need some washi tape to hold it down so it doesn't move. And then only partially put the second cutting plate on top. If there is only one cutting plate, the die won't cut through the cardstock. So by only layering the second cutting plate on top, you can see that it will cut through all layers where there are 2 cutting plates and not the 1 cutting plate. So I'll run that through the machine and I'll be back. So now I want to cut the rest. So there's my line that I can follow, and also you will feel the die engage with the previous cuts, so you know you've got it in the right position. And this time I'm going to put the tag top end to the left and then only put my die on the second half of the end of the tag die, and I'll run that through the machine again. Then when you remove that, you've got the perfect elongated die cut. So now I'll draw the profile of this die cut that I've just done so that I know what size it is, and I have to cut outside those lines on the bigger one. So let's put it out there. Use my washi tape again, draw a line for this, put my washi tape on, rub my pencil marks off. When I was making the project, I just grabbed the first ribbon that came to hand, and this was the Blushing Bride frayed ribbon, and I didn't know it was already retired, but you can substitute it for the Artfully Led Bundles white frayed ribbon. It's slightly wider, it's 3/4 of an inch rather than 1/2 an inch, or you can use any other ribbon to suit. There's also the Essentials pack of Baker's Twine. I've used the greyish coloured one, and that's to cobble my tags together. Snip off a bit and double it over, loop it from front to back like so. When you're filming, things never go smoothly, does it? Then you pop your goodies in like so, thread the ribbon front to back. You want it to go through all the layers. Scoring tool, and just poke it through the hole to get it to go in. Roughly gauge how much you need. Make sure the back's straight and not twisted. Tie a knot. And I always like to do it on the roll so that I keep the waste to a minimum. Then you want to put a dimensional on the bottom of that to secure it to the tag. You want to put one on the edge there so that the tag won't fall into the rabbit's face, like so. So all that's left to do is put a little flower there and one for him to hold with his paw. So bring in the jade green piece, punch a second one, and you also want to punch a little flower, one in the jade green and one in Blushing Bride. Put the flower in the palm of your hand and use the butt of a tool. I'm using the butt of the old piercing tool, and use one of these dots for the flower center, and I trimmed the leaf. Stick the flower on top there. Might take a while to bond. You curl the leaf up a little bit and stick some glue on the back. Put it in between the paws so it looks like he's holding it up. Attach the flower with a glue dot and stick it on there. Then do the same with jade green flower and use a different coloured resin dot and attach that with a glue dot for the end of your sentiment. And I can declare the project finished. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. As usual, the list of supplies are listed below this video in the Show More section. I will put a link to my blog post below in the Read More section, and you can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. Thanks for watching. Bye.